Chapter 3. What exactly is the mandate of the NPRC? History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived. However, if faced with courage, need not to be lived again. Maya Angelou. The NPRC has a very broad mandate specified in Section 252 of the Constitution. The functions are listed in different categories to make it easy to read and understand in the tables below. How to read the tables. The left columns of the table states what the Constitution says, and they do represent its exact wording of the Constitution. The examples in the right columns of the tables set out the mandate in general terms and are to be used as a guide only. You should consult the NPRC if you wish to understand the official interpretation of the mandates. These are only a few examples. The NPRC can do more. Table 1. Functions towards achieving main goals and objectives of the NPRC. Function: to ensure post-conflict justice, healing, and reconciliation. Example: this is a very broad function under which the NPRC can almost do anything it wishes, as long as it is designed to lead to justice, healing, and reconciliation after a period of violence, the healing of victims, society, and the rebuilding of relations. This may include programs like setting up a justice committee to receive complaints from victims who believe that their reports on violations were not handled properly. Function: to develop programs to promote national healing, unity, and cohesion in Zimbabwe and the peaceful resolution of disputes. Example: these may include initiatives like commemorating National Day of Remembrance. In Northern Ireland, they commemorate the National Day of Reflection every 21 June with activities like storytelling about past conflicts, showcasing community initiatives at building unity and social cohesion. A national mediation agency can be established with senior elderly mediators to help in mediation of disputes. Function: to bring about national reconciliation by encouraging people to tell the truth about the past and facilitating the making of amends and provision of justice. Example: truth-telling initiatives can take place at national level or at local or community level. In South Africa, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission held public hearings where alleged perpetrators were invited to tell the whole truth of the crimes they committed in exchange for amnesty according to conditions set up in law. Victims also told their side of the story. At community level, initiatives can be encouraged where their local communities share their own truths on how they experienced conflict. Truth-telling, as envisaged in the Constitution, must be designed to facilitate correction of past wrongs and provision of justice. A good example is that families of the abducted activists may want the truth told so that they can find closure. That is making of amends. For example, a woman in Makonde who reports to the police about activists who burnt her house may want the truth told so that the case may be revised and alleged perpetrators are tried in court. Function: to develop procedures and institutions at national level to facilitate dialogue among political parties, communities, organizations, and other groups in order to prevent conflicts and disputes arising in the future. Example: a national mediation structure can be set up at national level to help with sustained dialogue and engagement among political parties. In Malawi, the bishops established the Public Affairs Committee, which facilitated continuous dialogue among political parties. During the transition from President Joyce Banda to Peter Mutharika, the Public Affairs Committee played a crucial role in mediating between leaders to ensure that the election and the upcoming transition were peaceful. Table 2. Functions towards addressing human rights needs of victims. Function: to develop programs to ensure that persons subjected to persecution, torture, and other forms of abuse receive rehabilitative treatment and support. Example: a national counseling service agency can be established to provide free counseling services to victims of past conflicts. Health professionals can be trained to detect victims of torture and to take measures to ensure that, in addition to medical attention, other support like counseling and protection are offered. The NPRC can also support non-state actors who have always been working with such victims. An example of a rural area in Mashonaland West Province of Zimbabwe. Table 3. Functions towards addressing violent conflict. Function: to receive and consider complaints from the public and to take such action in regard to the complaints as it considers appropriate. Example: establishment of structures for the reception of complaints from the public on any matter regarding the disturbance of the peace, presence of violence, or threats of potential violence, and to react in time. Function: to develop mechanisms for early detection of areas of potential conflicts and disputes and to make appropriate preventive measures. Example: setting up a national early warning system for detecting conflict and to ensure a rapid response to prevent violence. Function: to conciliate and mediate disputes among communities, organizations, and individuals. Example: traditional or cultural structures, faith-based structures, professional mediation offices, or non-state actors providing such services. To do anything incidental to the prevention of conflict and the promotion of peace. Example: any other measures the Commission may deem necessary. Table 4. Functions towards making recommendations. Function: to recommend legislation, to ensure that assistance including documentation is rendered to persons affected by conflicts, pandemics, or other circumstances. Example: the NPRC can make recommendations to have Parliament enact a law to ensure victims of past conflict receive assistance. Zimbabwe has had such laws before. An example of such a law is the War Victims Compensation Act, Chapter 11, Subsection 16, which established a fund to compensate victims of the Liberation War. In the report Breaking the Silence, the Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace in Zimbabwe recommended amendment of the existing War Victims Compensation Act to cover compensation also for victims of later conflicts. Northern Ireland's Day of Reflection. The Day of Reflection on the 21st of June is a day of acknowledging the deep hurt and pain caused by the conflict in and around Northern Ireland. To reflect on our own attitudes, on what more we might have done or might still do, and to make a personal commitment that such losses should never be allowed to happen again.